Hello, it's Troy Francis in Venice Beach, Los Angeles. Women see dating for men through a female lens, okay? I've been on the Fresh and Fit podcast a few times now. People may have seen some little clips of times I've been on the show. I've known Myron and Fresh for a number of years. Great guys, and they're doing some really, obviously it goes without saying, the show's blown up, massively successful, and they're doing great work out there. One of the most interesting things about the show for me, and I'm talking about the evening show now, where they bring the girls in, the women in, and have the roundtable discussion. One of the most interesting things about it is that it really highlights the gulf of understanding between women and men as far as dating is concerned. And what you will notice if you watch even just a single episode, but if you watch a few episodes, what you're going to see is that the women who appear on the show very frequently have absolutely no idea of what dating is like for the average guy. And this is what I mean when I say they see it through that female lens, okay? They don't realize, for example, how difficult it is for the average guy to find intimacy, okay? Let alone a girlfriend or a partner, to simply find intimacy for the average guy who is not super high on the totem pole of whatever it is that women most want, the old 6'6", 6 foot, 6 figures, and six-pack abs. If you're not especially high on that totem pole, what they find it hard to understand how difficult it is for the average guy. The average guy who, I should say, has not self-actualized and worked on himself, and who is actually proactive in going out and trying to improve his life rather than just sitting around and complaining about it. But they often, not always, but often will assume that the experience is pretty much the same for men as it is for women. So a guy can, if he wants to get laid, he can just go on Tinder and swipe a little bit, and he's going to find somebody who wants to have sex with him, and it's that easy. And actually, of course, the experience of many men out there in today's dating marketplace, particularly in more challenging locations like LA or Miami or New York or whatever, actually that's not the case. So whereas women have easier access for the most part to intimacy, men find it really difficult. And the girls on Fresh and Fit often just don't understand that. They have no awareness of that, They also don't really understand the paradigm of women being the gatekeepers for intimacy and men being the gatekeepers for relationships. So they look at the issue of more, they see the biggest problem in dating as being, it's really hard to find a good partner. It's really hard to find a good person to get into a relationship with and then stay in a relationship with. They think that's the key problem. And I'm not saying that isn't a problem for men, but of course that ignores the fact that before you even get anywhere near that stage, there's just the very simple fact of, well, is the guy able to even find somebody to have sex with in the first place, let alone to be his girlfriend or whatever. So it's just really fascinating, this differential in the way that modern dating is viewed. And I did a video recently where I was talking about the haves and the have-nots in dating, and I was talking about in men, because you've got the guys who are doing very well, thank you very much, in terms of the dating scene, and those guys who are not. But in a broader sense, you might say that the haves and the have-nots are, women are the haves and the men are the have-nots. And the women are getting richer and richer in terms of likes and people swiping on their profiles and sending them money on Cash App or whatever it is, or OnlyFans and all this kind of stuff. And the guys are getting poorer. The guys are scrabbling around for attention. I'm talking, of course, I'm being obviously slightly tongue-in-cheek here, but I'm also talking about guys who fall or believe they fall on the lower part of the hierarchy, so they're finding access more difficult. So yeah, it's fascinating the way that women view dating through their own eyes, and they don't realise. And I think I suppose the value of a show like Fresh and Fit is that it does educate actually both genders. You know, it educates guys. It shows guys something about female nature, and also, to be fair, some of the challenges that women face as well, because women also face challenges in dating. There's no, you know, both genders in the end. I mean, we're all screwed and then we die in the end. I mean, but you know, both genders have challenges throughout their lives that they have to deal with. But you know, guys are educated in that. But women who are either on the panel or who watch the show are educated on some of the challenges that maybe men have to face as well. And I think overall, that's kind of a healthy thing, really. And I think that actually is the genius, really, of Fresh and Fit, was that they were one of the first men's self-help brands to bring women into the conversation. And I think that's a very, very good thing, because ultimately we're all on the same side here, really. I mean, this shouldn't be this hugely adversarial thing. It should be a coming together and saying, look, this is the situation. This is modern dating. Is this actually how we want it to be? Is this how it should be? Is this how we want to relate to one another as human beings? You know, or is there a better way? And if a show like Fresh and Fit is a small step towards that, then as I say, I think that's a good thing. One thing I would say though as well is that there's a lot of hyperbole online, you know, on things like Twitter and in comment sections and stuff like that. There's a lot of hyperbole. People seem to be in very entrenched positions, and you would get this idea if you just spend all your life on the internet that society is sort of divided very sharply into these, you know, super toxic masculinity kind of dudes, and then these super toxic feminist kind of women, and there's never any agreement between everybody, and everyone's just shouting at each other the whole time. And actually, in the real world, of course, it's not like that. Most people you meet, when you put your laptop to one side and go out and actually talk to people, most people you meet are pretty reasonable. Even somewhere, as I say, like Los Angeles, I was here with my friend, and LA, of course, has this reputation of being this super woke place where people are very entrenched in, you know, certain positions and everything like that. But, you know, I mean, for the most part, you know, we met some really cool people, some really friendly people, and had a really good time, really good laugh. And there was none of the kind of, I don't know, the kind of animosity that you might perhaps think would become prevalent in a place like this at all, really. So you've always got to remember that the online discourse is different, and distinct from what actually happens and goes down in real life, okay? Very important to bear that in mind, because I think that we can spend, and even myself, and I'm a boomer, and I try not to spend too much time on my laptop, on my computer. I mean, obviously I'm on there for work, but aside from that, my whole thing has always been about socializing in the real world and, you know, trying to somehow maintain that whatever kind of humanity is left on this godforsaken planet, you know, with ChatGPT taking over and everything else, you know, just trying to maintain that human presence, that human connection with other people. But even I can sometimes fall into the trap of thinking that the way that people... It's really interesting, this bar here, look at this, Cafe at Venice Beach. This is almost like a Berlin-style little place. Let's have a quick look at this. Yeah, I mean, there could even be a temptation for me sometimes to fall into the trap of thinking that the discourse online is reflected exactly in the real world, and it actually isn't, you know, for the most part. I mean, obviously you're going to meet outliers on both sides, but for the most part, people are good-hearted, people are reasonable, you can have a conversation with people and they're not going to bite your head off, and they actually appreciate connecting in real life in a human way, okay? And that, I think, is a good thing. It gives me some faith in humanity and in the future. Yeah, that little place over there, quite Berlin-like. There's some strange sort of parallels, I think, between LA and Berlin in a way. And when I go to Berlin, there's a lot of people from LA actually living over there as well, which is interesting. That both the cities have got this very hippie sort of alternative lifestyle kind of vibe about them, hipster kind of vibe, and so on. So interesting. Anyway, that's the final reflection, which has got nothing to do with the video really. So I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed this one. Do please hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you want to talk to me about your own dating life and how we can maybe work together to improve it, then you can drop me an email, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, or you can book a call with me on the Calendly link below. So do that. Give me a comment beneath, give me a like, subscribe, as I said before, support the channel on Patreon, link below, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.